All right, now straight to the Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor saga, talking about his imbroglio with the DSS. And now the latest is that the battle between the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and the Department of State Services over a plan to arrest the CBN governor may have been put on hold as Emefiele resumes duty. The CBN governor on Monday resumed office at the CBN headquarters after spending several weeks in the United Kingdom and United States following reported plots by the DSS to arrest him. And in a statement by the CBN Director of Corporate Communications, Mr. Osita Nwanesobi, the Apex Bank said the governor had resumed work amid concerns over his absence since last month. Let's analyze this issue and see what exactly is in the offing, especially for the #1 banker in the country. We have joining us Matthew Oluku. He is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
What are your thoughts on these backs and forths between the CBN and the DSS?
Once again, thank you for having me. You see, for me, I think by now, our democracy ought to have grown beyond this. Because I'm worried that we might see a repeat of Onohe scenario. Don't forget that in 2019, in the build-up to the general election like this, one non-governmental organization that goes by the name of Anti-Corruption and Research-Based Initiative wrote a petition against Justice Onohe. And at the end of the day, Code of Conduct Tribunal, Code of Conduct Bureau took out the matter. The petition was written on the 7th of January. On the 9th of January, Code of Conduct Bureau received it with speed of light. It went to Code of Conduct Tribunal. The rest is history. So what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong in accusing anybody of anti-corruption, or there's nothing wrong in accusing anybody.
Terrorism related.
What I'm trying to say in essence is, there's nothing wrong in accusing anybody of wrongdoing. But if you accuse, you should be ready to prove it.
Okay.
From what I've known about the whole issue so far, I've been able to understand that even while Emefiele was not in the country, he got approval from Mr. President to go on leave for 2 weeks. And he's back in the country. He has resumed, like you just read. Then again, I think for me, the much as I can understand, you may see it as speculative, but I think it's purely political.
How do you mean?
Why I say it's purely political is, don't forget that DSS went to court, asking court to give them permission, to give them right to arrest him and investigate him.
You know, some people have said that if the DSS truly had a case against Godwin Emefiele, that they needed not go to court.
Even the legal luminary,
yes, he was actually the one who said
yes. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, even the court was asking DSS, avail us of the information you have at your disposal to enable us arrive at conclusion to empower you to arrest him, to grant your order, because it was an injunction. But I don't know, in the wisdom of DSS, they were not able to divulge such information to the court. If DSS is hiding information from the court, who then should be privy to the information? So that's why I say, even if it may look speculative as a person, as it is political.
What if it's classified information? Because, you know, when it comes to security, when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to, you know, protecting the integrity of the nation, there are some classified information you don't want to put out there. Could it be that maybe they're protecting it from getting out there, and that's why they've not presented it at the court? What
court was saying is, confide in us. We will not compromise information. Don't forget that, even as we speak, there's a court judgment about DSS, not just the DSS, police, EFCC, from further harassing, arresting, intimidating, or even investigating the CBN governor. The court even went further to say that it was oppressive, abrasive in trying to hand him, that it breached his fundamental human rights and even his right to act in his powers as the CBN governor. The court even went further to say that it was even wrong for DSS to even incite Mr. President against the CBN governor in exercise of his duty as the CBN governor. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, I think by now should have grown beyond this level of politics. Because for me, I see it as being political, to be quite honest with you.
Okay, that those who would say that the CBN governor himself looks like he has a lot of baggage to himself. Remember, there was the controversy of the Anchor's Boras program and the whole pyramid, the rice pyramid. There was the controversy of a presidential run in the mix as well. Now it's being linked to terrorism charges. Those who would also say there's no smoke without fire.
That is the most controversial CBN governor
ever. So
in the history of Nigeria.
What exactly? We know quite well that the DSS probably has its own laps in terms of how it has gone about this, but why Emefiele? Why? Maybe the question should be, why always him? Because
the issue is this.
He has lots of baggage.
The issue is this. I'm not holding brief for Emefiele. I'm not holding brief for CBN. What I'm saying is, the DSS do not even need a court order to charge him to court. If they know they have actually gotten enough evidence to prosecute him. So why? Because for me, I feel it is a ploy to take him out of circulation to pave way for his eventual remove. For me, I even feel that if not for the restraining order he had been able to get from the court, or the non-governmental organization that went to court was able to secure that order, I think by now he would have been arrested.
Could that have anything to do with all of the policies he's coming up with?
I'm coming. I was going there.
Okay.
Because, you know, one begin to ask, like you rightly said, why did all this not come to the fore before the CBN policy of Naira redesign and withdrawal limit? Don't forget that, for me as a person, when I saw the Minister of Finance being indifferent with the policy, I know something was wrong somewhere.
She claimed she was not even aware.
Exactly, she wasn't aware.
And the problem is this. The office of the permanent secretary in the office of the Minister of Finance is a statutory member of CBN board.
Exactly.
And this issue would have been discussed at the level of CBN board before it came to the public. So administratively, there is no way the office or the person or the Minister of Finance can find ignorance of the policy before it came to the public glare.
So you're saying there's something missing?
I'm saying that it's political.
You're saying the finance minister was aware, yet she claimed not to be aware.
What I'm saying is this. I say statutorily, the minister, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance is a statutory member of CBN board.
Okay.
So if the CBN sits in their board, they have a representative from the Ministry of Finance, who is the permanent secretary from the
So the information should have trickled down.
Exactly. I'm saying that there is no way she can find ignorance of the existence of the policy. And also, as CBN sought the approval of Mr. President, got the approval before even the public get to know about it. So it beats all imagination to see. For me, I feel the Mr. President is the one that have every information at his disposal. I don't think there's any information that has to do with security threats against national unity that is not at the disposal of Mr. President. And I think if Mr. President is not comfortable or is agreeing with the position of DSS, I don't think Emefiele will stay in that office beyond 1 hour.
But do you think the DSS would have gone ahead without the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari?
I see it as a power play.
Okay.
Don't forget that in Nigerian system, anything goes. Because there are people who may be too powerful to be questioned. Have you forgotten recently under the leadership of Saraki as the leader of the National Assembly, how DSS invaded
the lawyers' houses?
The National Assembly?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Have you forgotten how somebody was quoted, the former secretary to federal government, when they were asking questions, when they were asking who is the presidency? So what I'm trying to say is, it's possible Mr. President is not, have not yet bought into the political rigmarole. Okay. Because for me, that is why it's good we should allow institutions to work. We should strengthen institutions rather than individuals. Because if Mr. President eventually buys into it, all will be history. Because it really takes Mr. President to ask him to resign, and he have no option. Because Mr. President reserves right to hire and fire. Though his position is constitutional,
exactly.
but Mr. President have a way of doing it. I cited Honor's case. It's tenure based. He needed to retire. But when they use the Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal, irrespective of court orders trying to stop the process, nobody could stop it because Mr. President have already perhaps Mr. President already buy into it. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, it's good to think that perhaps because even the CBN through the spokesman, the director of communication also, have said that the CBN governor has received his duty, that is going to work in accordance with the president's policy directive and all that. So I hope we should learn and grow from here, because our democracy is not too nascent. We have practiced democracy for how many? More than
24 years.
24 years. So by now, I think we should be getting to a level where you, as a public servant, should be bold enough to exercise your duty, irrespective of who feel offended, as long as you are doing it in the national interest.
But aren't you worried? Isn't this a source of concern? The fact that the #1 banker in the country, someone who is in charge of the country's finances, is being accused or being indicted in such a case as terrorism. Isn't that a big issue for the country, especially as we draw towards the elections?
But let me correct the erroneous impression. There is no case of indictment here.
So what's going on?
It's an allegation.
Yeah, it's been linked.
Anybody can face allegation. Anybody can be accused.
But not someone who is in charge of the country's finance.
Anybody can be accused. It is the issue is if it is proven. That's why I was saying that you don't even need a court order to charge somebody to court. If they know they have gotten established prima facie case against them, go straight and file proceeding in the court. And that's why I say it's political. For me, I think what they intended to do is to get them out of circulation, create vacuum. People start clamoring that they ought not to be vacuum, and perhaps it will pave way for its removal.
But who is the DSS supposed to be loyal to? The president, the Nigerians, or some top-notch politicians?
The DSS is supposed to be loyal to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So is it possible?
Because the same law that empowers the office of Mr. President empowers the office of the director of DSS.
So is it possible that some people are kind of manipulating the DSS?
You see, the problem we have in this country is institutions do not work. We create a situation where people are loyal to individuals rather than being loyal to the Constitution.
Okay.
Look at when Trump lost election. All his attempt to circumvent the rule, to use people in authority against the details of their Constitution failed. Because people resisted it and they told him to his face that they are loyal to the Constitution. And where it becomes too difficult to operate, most of them resigned. That is how a country should operate.
Let's look at, I mean, you can't rule out the place of, this being politically motivated and all, but probably due to those policies we talked about, withdrawal limits, Naira redesign and all. The question then will be, is this within the APC camp, which should be, because they are the ones in power, and why do you think those people want him out? Because the policy is already in place. It's not like it will be reversed anytime soon. So what exactly is the end product of all of these political
I have a
shenanigans?
feeling that the ruling class, the political class, may feel that the policy is targeted against them.
Okay.
It's speculative anyway, but I have a strong feeling that the political class, the ruling class, may feel the policy is targeted against them.
Okay.
And they may want to fight back. And it's good to think that Mr. President is not buying into it. Because I've seen a president who want to engender free, fair, and credible election from what we have seen recently. So if the ruling class feel that the policy is targeted against them, they would definitely want to have their way by removing him. The only reason he's still the CBN governor is perhaps because Mr. President have not seen it the way DSS is seeing it.
Okay. But do you think their fears are justified in a way, looking at the fact that the CBN came up with a policy because they said they wanted to reduce monetization of the elections, vote buying, and all of those electoral malpractices? Do you see some substance in that?
To be quite honest with you, from the word go, I supported the CBN policy. Because one, we look at the reasons that are adduced. You have a situation where the money in circulation, about 1/3 of it is not in the banking system. And if CBN makes policy, is not effective because they don't have control of the money in circulation. Who does that? No country will allow that to prevail. And they decided to use that policy to withdraw money in circulation. Having withdrawn the money in circulation, regulate how money is being removed from the banking system. So that by the time they make policy, it will be effective. And they talk about the issue of ransom paying.
Yes.
You understand? So for me, the purpose of this policy is with good interest of Nigeria.
But we don't see that playing out because as we speak, how many people have the new notes?
And then there are even
I would have buy into your argument, but I refuse to buy into your argument because I've seen CBN sending messages to people. I've seen it in my phone. That don't wait until 31st of January before you return the old notes at your disposal.
So where are the new notes?
I've seen a lady who do this POS business, who somebody came to recently with 200,000. She was apprehensive, worried, but eventually she received it. And the next day she took it to the bank with the intention of getting old notes. But she was told that she needed not to return it. That the old note is that they are withdrawing it and they are seizing it. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, before now I was worried that we are not seeing much new note in circulation. But with the message coming out from CBN, asking people to return the old note, don't wait until 31st. It means
it's not about just having a message out there. It's about what's on ground. Exactly. Do you have the new notes?
It's one thing for CBN.
Do you have the new notes?
I'm saying that before now, personally, I'm worried that I'm not seeing enough new note in circulation.
No, I'm saying right now, do you have the new notes?
Personally,
yes.
I've used it, but I don't have it right now.
As of today, this morning, 17th January, majority still don't have the new notes. It's not in circulation as
many people take the old notes to the bank with the hopes of exchanging for new notes, but they don't get it.
The new note being in circulation, I'm as worried as you are. But I said my worry was disabused when I saw CBN message yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. People,
so is it just about putting a message out? What I'm trying to say in essence is, if after 31st of January, we're in January now,
yes,
and people are not having access to new note, then we should query CBN. And so let us give them that benefit.
Why wait till the deadline? Remember the deadline. The deadline of January 31st is not for the new notes to be in circulation.
Exactly.
It's for the old notes to be mopped out of the circulation.
I agree with you.
Since December 15th, the new notes have been in circulation. According to them.
Let us get
and we still don't have it.
What CBN says now is, take your old Naira note to this bank.
Nigerians
are coming.
Okay.
And since we started seeing the message from CBN that we should not wait until 31st of January before going to exchange our old Naira note with the new Naira note, I have not seen anybody who say they have gone to the bank and they refuse to give a new Naira note. And if I see that, I will comment it here.
There are a lot of people on
since
Twitter.
I received that message,
okay,
I have not seen such.
When did you receive the message?
I saw the message yesterday.
Okay, because you go to make use of the ATMs and it's still the old notes that get
even as yesterday.
The incident I told you that somebody received a 200,000 a POS operator, the customer that brought it got it through the ATM.
Exactly, that's the concern that CBN is saying. Nigerians, we're trying to get the old notes out of circulation. Bring all your old notes
that's what
to
I'm
the
telling
banks.
That
Nigerians will take their old notes to the banks in the hope that when next they make a transaction in terms of withdrawal, they get the new notes. But it's still the same old notes that they've deposited to the banks.
That
getting the return.
After 31st,
okay,
we are not seeing
results. Let's not overflow.
I say that let us give them benefit of doubt.
Okay.
And I'm saying that I've seen a practical example of somebody who received 200,000 through
the new notes.
Yes.
Okay.
The person got it from ATM machine and took it to a POS operator. The POS operator was apprehensive, worried. She ran to the bank the following day, and before she even collected the money from the customer needed a guarantor because the customer sold market and he needed the customer, the person that patronized the customer brought it.
We really do not have much time because we have another topic to focus on. But generally, we know that by next week there would be another MPC meeting to fix the monetary policy rate, and the CBN governor would supersede or sit over that particular meeting. Now the inflation rate has dropped by a few basis points. Do you think that the MPR would be reduced this time around because it's been increased over time?
I think they are capable hands. I will not preempt their directive or the directive or direction of the policy meeting. But I know that we have capable hands. They have been managing the economy. They didn't start today. Let us give them that benefit of doubt and allow them to do their job.
Thank you so much. Mr. Oluku is still with us, but we'll take a break now. We'll be back to focus on another issue. Please stay with us.